Love is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart and please don't break it. Love was made for me and you.
Hey, welcome to WBGR Sports Network and the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk Show. And this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, L-O-V-E, love sports on the Tom the Bomb Show. I'm your host, Tommy Wood. And I got another fantastic show for you guys. Hey, how's the weather where you guys are at? Here in the DMV, the weather is horrible. We're in a major storm here. I mean, gee, hey, wait a minute. Wasn't yesterday Easter? I mean, hasn't he risen? I had my Easter speech and everything. He is risen. Happy Easter. I got to shoot. What's going on with this weather? The Word of God tells us that we are going to get to a point at the end of times where we're not going to know one season from the other. And man, I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's like the day after Easter and we got a storm here in the DMV. But like I say, look, we got another fantastic show for you guys. We just want to thank God for the new thing that he's doing for all of us in 2022. The show is live, so if you guys want to call in, the number is 301-429-9247. Again, that's 301-429-9247. Hey, we don't have trivia for today, but our poll question is, the NBA has announced its finalists for the MVP. And I just want to get you guys' take on it. We may talk about this a little later in the show. But the MVP finalists are Giannis, Joel Embiid, and Djokovic. Who do you like? It's basically all big men and centers. This is very fascinating. So that's our poll question. You guys let us know what you think. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the show. Hey, look, coming up on TV, what you should be watching, what you should be looking at coming up for tonight. On ESPN, I think it's E60, they're going to be having the Paterno Legacy tonight at 8 p.m. And that's all about Joe Paterno at Penn State and his legacy. And man, that's just a great coaching career just kind of ruined, because when you're the head man, you're responsible for it, and they say, well, it wasn't Joe Pa. Listen, here's the thing, man. I say this all the time. One of the problems with being intelligent. The problem with being intelligent is that you never get the luxury of playing dumb, okay? And, though Joe Paterno, Bill Belichick, those type of guys, they are so in control of everything that you don't get to say, oh, I didn't know, or I didn't. No. You way too intelligent to not know that. So that's one of the problems with being intelligent is you don't get the luxury of playing dumb, okay? So that's what's coming on. And then tomorrow, Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on 30 for 30, it's opening The Shark, and that's on Greg Norman, and that should be fabulous for our golf fans out there. With everything that's going on now with Greg Norman, the Shark, trying to start his own tour. He's trying to pull tour players from the PGA Tour to come play his tour. So that should be interesting on Tuesday. So tonight it's the Paterno Legacy, and then tomorrow night at 8:30, it's The Shark. So that'll be great. Hey, gang, I'm so excited to announce the launching of the Tom the Bomb Sports Travel and Entertainment website. We're going to show you how to travel better and pay less for cruises, air travel, hotels, rental cars, themed destinations like Disney, Carnival, Viking cruises with the guaranteed best rates. Golf getaways around the world in less than 80 days. The Masters, places like the best seats to your favorite concerts, Broadway shows, etc. And of course, major events like the Super Bowl, World Series, and the NBA Finals, which is coming up. How about NASCAR and Wimbledon? We got you covered from A to Z on all your vacation needs. But for those of you who just can't wait, you can go to TommyWoodIntellitravel.com right now. You can book any kind of travel, hotel, rental car, vacation, entertaining, or sporting events right now. Hey, let's get to the show. Hey, it's the NBA playoffs, round one. Look, man, you guys know how I always talk about that. I love college basketball, and the honest to God's truth is I just really don't pay much attention to the NBA during the regular season because the 82 games is just too long and they don't play defense, man. But I'm telling you now, it's playoff time, and we are now watching the best athletes in the world. Make no mistake about it. These guys are the best athletes in the world. And man, it's playoff time, and they are bringing it. So you need to get ready and get your popcorn ready because the playoffs are here, baby. Let's start right off with the Nets versus the Celtics. Let's start with the cream at the top. The Celtics won 115 to 114. Let me ask you this: was the Celtics defense too physical for Kevin Durant? That's my question to you guys out there. You guys chime in and let me know. Was the Celtics defense too physical for Kevin Durant? I know my man B, he out there always talking about that. That's how you play Kevin Durant. You play him fifth. B, is that how you do it, B? You play Kevin Durant very physical, make him work on defense, and then bump him and grind him on offense? Well, guess what? That's what the Celtics did. The Celtics almost let a large lead slip away as Kyrie Irving took over the game in the fourth quarter. Irving poured in 18 of his 39 points in the final frame, giving the Nets a 1-point lead with 14 seconds remaining. The Nets looked like they were going to take game one on the road and stun the Boston crowd until Jason Tatum, St. Louis native, hit an acrobatic layup as time expired to win the game on the buzzer for the Celtics. How about a buzzer-beating layup? Tatum was phenomenal, going off for 31 points and 8 assists while keeping Kevin Durant in check. Holding KD to 23 points on 24 shots. Listen, that's a bad day for KD. That's shutting him down, man. When you can hold KD, MJ, Lebanon, people like that under 25 points, man, you done play some defense somewhere, man. You done play some defense. And Jason Tatum's game, he's such a phenomenal offensive player that his defense gets overlooked. And this guy did a good, of course, to stop KD, it takes a team effort. So Smart, it was definitely a team effort, but Tatum spent some time on KD one-on-one. Boston got physical with KD and the Nets. And this seems to be the road they're going to take. If you notice toward the end of the year when the teams were jockeying for a playoff position, and if the Celtics had lost their last game, they probably would have dropped down and they wouldn't have had to face the Nets in the first round. But the Celtics was like, we don't care. We don't care. We can beat the Nets. We can beat anybody. And man, they sure did prove it yesterday. What did Jason Tatum game prove to you yesterday? What do you guys think about Jason Tatum? What did this game show you if you hadn't been watching him all year? He's definitely got a total package, and I see him as one day being an MVP candidate. I think he's an MVP candidate right now. He's not one of the final three, but what do you guys think about St. Louis native Jason Tatum? Question number 2. What are we expecting from KD in game 2? What are we expecting from KD in game 2? Now listen. Okay, they held KD in check. 23 points on 24 shots. Hey, how would you like to be able to have a bad game and score 23 points in the NBA? That's a bad man. That's a bad man, KD. He's coming back. He's coming back. He's not going to sleep well. I disagree with Big Perk, who basically said Big Perk said that KD got punked. I don't agree with that because, I like Stephen A. say, I think you have to be afraid to be punked. And he was definitely not afraid. Listen, we got a caller on line 1, so let's go right to line 1 and see what caller is. Hello, caller. What's your name?
Frank.
Hey, Frank. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic, Frank. Frank, tell me about this Nets and Celtics game.
Man, this was everything. Like I grew up watching playoffs. When the Bulls were coming up in the '80s, and so to me that intensity that's what playoff basketball is about to me. Like I know people are going to be up in their feelings about the flipping off and stuff, but honestly. That just felt like an old school Pistons, Celtics, Bulls, Pistons, whatever, Bulls, Knicks, just insert Eastern Conference team. The East always had the toughest playoff games as far as like the physicality and just the intensity. Not saying the West wasn't talented and all that, but it's just like there was the East where it's like, man, the game was 90 to 85. Like the games were low scoring, a lot of hand checking. I know they don't do that stuff now, but there was a lot of physical play in that game, and I enjoyed it.
They took us back to the 80s, didn't they?
Didn't really care. Go ahead.
They took us back to the 80s with that play, didn't they?
Man, it was great, and just the big shots. Kyrie is certainly probably the best shot maker in the league. I know that's a weird category, but he can make every shot from every angle.
He's clutch.
And that's with Kevin Durant on his team. I say that with respect to Kevin Durant. I mean, he was incredible yesterday.
Well, Frank, what's your take on KD giving the Celtics fan the bird? You know, the bird. How about that? What's your take on that?
I mean, you know, you'd like to see. That's kind of, you know, I would say not the best look, right? But you know, fans say a lot of things too, and I feel like, you know, we talk about freedom of speech and things like that. That doesn't mean freedom of consequence. So if you're saying certain things, you know, flipping the bird probably is not even the equivalent of response to what some of these fans are saying. I don't think it's a good look though for the league long term. You know, we have players flipping off hands, but
yeah, he definitely
I feel like in this particular saga with the whole Kyrie, you got, you know, if you're not familiar, obviously you are because you're a sports show host, but the Kyrie saga is bigger than just this series. This goes back to, you know, the way Kyrie kind of came into Boston, was kind of beloved for that first season, and he kind of left and didn't come back for the playoffs, and they lost to the Cavs. And so there's some bad blood with the Celtics and Kyrie. And Kyrie's not going to apologize. You see, he's willing to sit out half the season. So he certainly doesn't care about a Boston fan base. And there's certainly a tangible race element there as well, which, I mean, there's all kind of levels where you can read this, and I think it's great for TV as long as it doesn't go overboard. I think where it was in Game 1, it can't bubble up. We don't need fans on the court. We don't need players going in the stands. I hope that the intensity stays on the court. I hope it doesn't spill out. I mean, that's my only concern is today it feels like there's not as much boundary for people. People feel like they're willing to do more things, take more risks. That, you know, but hopefully it won't. You know, we won't have like a Will Smith, Chris Rock, somebody thinks they can go and slap Kyrie at the free throw line or something, right? Like it's got to stay on the court, and hopefully we'll have a great 7-game series.
Frank, I got 2 questions for you I want to ask you. I just want to get some feedback from my listeners. Number 1 question, Frank, is if the Celtics play their very best, if they bring their A game, and the Nets play their very best, and they bring their A game, who wins the series? And the second question I want to ask you, I'll let you simmer on that. Second question I want to ask you is, where's Ben Simmons? Where's Seth Curry? Where's Andre Drummond? Where's Patty Mills? Where's these guys that came in this trade for the beard? I don't see any contributions from these guys in this first game. So those are my questions. What's your take on that, Frank?
So I'll take the latter question first. It's a little bit easier. Andre Drummond, he's a mess. If you just watch him in the playoffs last year with the Lakers, you know, he can't guard the pick and roll without fouling. He can rebound, but he's not a good finisher around the rim. He's an okay shot blocker. He does clog the lane at times, but overall, you can help off of him. He doesn't have any range outside of, like, you know, getting a lob, so to speak, and then he might not even catch the lob. So I think those kind of questions, like Patty Mills, defensive liability, he can shoot, but he can't play defense. So, I mean, some of those acquisitions they got, and obviously Simmons being the biggest one, right? Simmons, to me, is not going to play this year. I mean, I know that they just did addition by subtraction. They just said, hey, Harden and, you know, Kyrie and KD are boys. Like, that's known. They went through the Nets because they were trying to build this thing together. And then Harden kind of came along, and Harden kind of was like, okay, but then Kyrie kind of was like, you know, I'm not getting the vaccine, I'm going to play part-time. And Harden just couldn't get down with that. And so I think that Simmons is a project they're looking at long-term, like, hey, we got a younger guy, plays defense, can run the offense, we'll bring him along. I don't think we expect to see Simmons. And because of that, to answer your question, I think if both teams play their A game with what they currently have, I think the Celtics, with home court advantage, win the series in the 7 games. And just because I think that there's a little more togetherness, a little more cohesion on their team. Brown and Tatum are superstars. And certainly Tatum, you know, certainly has the KD like ability to score 50 points. You know, not necessarily, you know, in a game, but he can do that in a game. And Brown is a perfect complement for him. So I say that the Celtics get it done in 7. And you know, if this was a different series, if Simmons was playing and things like that, I think it would be completely different. But I don't think Simmons is going to play, and I think the Celtics have the edge because of that.
Frank, I agree with you. You know, one of the things that I really love about basketball is that basketball really, it truly is a team game. And you can have the best players, and the best players can be beat by a better team. And, if KD and Kyrie is on together, that's awful hard to beat, man. But the Celtics are a complete team. It's not just Jason Tatum, Smart. They have a complete complement of talent, and they play good defense and they rebound. And I agree with you. I think if both teams are on their A games, because the Nets don't get it from any place other than KD and Kyrie, I think if they both play their best, I think the Celtics can win this series. But I'm rooting for the Nets. I never, ever, ever root for Boston. Not in anything unless they're playing New York.
No worries, man. I mean, hopefully we'll get the hopefully we'll get a chance to see that moment where maybe you'll get an iconic, shot or moment in a series like that. Because what I'll say is both these teams in a normal season could be conference finals, and it's just crazy because they're both playing in the first round. So that part makes it kind of exciting as well.
Frank, before I let you go, I want to ask you one more question. I don't know if have you by chance gotten a chance to see the Winning Dynasty, the Lakers new Dynasty show that they have on HBO? Have you had a chance to check that out at all?
I have not watched. I've heard it's excellent, but I have not seen it, so I can't give you any further than I've heard that it's pretty good.
Yeah, well, if you do, you it definitely won't be a waste of time. It's fantastic. Hey, Frank, thanks for calling. Call me back again, okay?
All right, man. Thank you.
Thanks, my friend.
Goodbye.
Bye. Alrighty, and there we go. Like I said, if both of these teams show up with their A game, I just think because the Celtics have a better round team, I think they come out ahead. But if KD, because we just said KD didn't have a good game. If KD's just playing like KD normally plays, they win that game yesterday. They still game one. So don't get it twisted. KD and Kyrie are enough by themselves for the Nets to win the NBA championship this year. But everything's got to go right. Everything's got to fall into place. And when that's the case, it's kind of hard to put all your chips and slide them over to the Nets for winning it all. And that's my take on that. Hey, let's talk about the Heat versus the Hawks. All right, so the Hawks won the play-in game, and to me, it kind of looked like they spent themselves in that play-in game because Trae Young was spectacular in that play-in game. But boy, literally and figuratively, the Hawks ran into the Heat. And I'm saying they ran into the Heat because the Heat was bringing it. Duncan Robinson made 8 threes as the Heat topped the Hawks 115-91 in Game 1. Duncan Robinson couldn't miss, and Trae Young couldn't make. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as those terms. That's what happened in Game 1. Duncan Robinson couldn't miss, and Trae Young couldn't make. Robinson came off the bench to set a franchise record, making 8 threes. Duncan Robinson said, "It's always nice to throw the first punch, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just one game." Duncan Robinson had 27 points on 9 of 10 shooting, and he was 8 for 9 from three-point land. He forced Trae Young into his worst shooting game of his career. He was 1 for 12. The Heat did. The Heat forced Trae Young into his worst shooting game of his career. Miami coach Spoelstra was stressing defense and rebounding. And man, if that ain't the formula for winning a championship, rebounding and defense, that's what the Hawks were stressing. That's what they brought. The Hawks just look not ready to play. Like I said, after the play-in game in the playoffs, the Heat was at another level. They're intensity-wise than the Hawks, and Robinson sizzled and the Hawks fizzled. That's your headline for this game. Robinson sizzled and the Hawks fizzled. Felix, you like that? You like that, Felix? I might hear that on your show, right, Felix? Listen, like KD, don't count out Trae Young and the Hawks. Don't count them out just yet. Not so fast, my friend. But they'll be facing the NBA's best starting 5 in the Heat's lineup, in my humble opinion. The Heat are solid 1 through 5. I mean, they're really, really good. And they've been number 1 all year long. And people have been, they had that little spell where they went down toward the end of the season, where they had a little fight between themselves with Jimmy Butler and Donald Haslem. But teams go through that with the intensity level and the emotions, and that might be what they need. But man, they surely were clicking in Game 1 against Trae Young and his Hawks. So the Heat came out victorious 115-91. Let's go to the Bulls versus the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks prevailed 93-86. Hey, the Bucks swept the Bulls 4-0 in the regular season and took Game 1 in the playoffs. Now, not only are the Bucks going to sweep this series, they look really good to me to defend their title. We haven't had back-to-back NBA title winners in a while, but they look pretty good. Listen, Giannis, the Greek freak, he's found out who he is. What do you mean by that, Tom the Bomb? If you guys remember the movie The Matrix, when Neo realized that he was the one, it was on like popcorn. It was on like Donkey Kong, okay? And Giannis has figured out who he is. Giannis has realized that he's the one. And the Bucks are built for this. They've gotten healthy at the right time, and they have the experience, they have the chemistry, and they have the ability to repeat. They're hot at the right time of the year. Chicago has a really good young and upcoming team, but I don't expect them to win a single game in this series. They got a bad draw against the playoffs. And like I said, Giannis has figured out who he is. Just like, okay, people look at you and say, man, you bad. But you don't really see that and feel that within yourself. Winning that championship last year, Giannis has totally evolved. This guy is total beast mode all the time. And he is the one. And like I said, he's up for MVP. And listen, Joel Embiid had a great year. Jokic won last year, and he's had another great year. But, man, you can't count Giannis out of that, man. And when the big three from Milwaukee has been in the lineup, I don't even know if they've lost. They may be like 29-1 or 32-2 when the big three have all been in the lineup. And like I said, now that with Lopez back in the middle, look for the Bucks to win ugly, which is beautiful to the Bucks fans because they do win ugly. But that's just because they get down, they get dirty, they pat the floor, they D you up, they do the little things, and they play as a team beautifully. They play as a team beautifully. Hey, look, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come right back with the Suns versus the Pelicans. But let's take a break, and we'll be right back.
Sheltered by the Sea of Cortez, Danzante Bay is a pure and peaceful oasis, an uncrowded retreat where your options are as vast as your views. If you're seeking a vacation that defines luxury and the true relaxation, look no further than Villa del Palmar at the Islands of Loreto. A splendor of true Mexican hospitality effortlessly blends with rich materials and insatiable comforts to bring guests the ideal home away from home experience. With its quiet beaches, scenic vistas, rich history, and astounding surrounding natural habitat, you'll feel as though you've been swept off to paradise. Not to be outdone, Reese Jones has crafted TPC Danzante Bay, a brilliant, multi-themed 18-hole golf course that runs over and through valleys, arroyos, dunes, and foothills. From every angle, striking images of the islands of Loreto and the surrounding mountain range take your breath away, while the challenging yet rewarding Baja Golf Course beckons you to return for more. It is an honor and my pleasure to welcome you to the world's most beautiful sunset and so much more.
Guys, has a little blue pill let you down again and again and again? Well, we at the Guys Clinic and our expert medical staff can and will help you get back on your feet. Guys, for years you've had medicines thrown at you to fix a problem with little or no success. We at theguysclinic.com believe that one size doesn't fit all. So we will customize your medical therapy so that it does work, just like we have for thousands of men locally and even more nationally. Even if you suffer from type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or any other ailment that has precluded you from doing this before, our guarantee is simple. When you come in, you'll see it work then and there, or you don't pay for the appointment. The appointment's normally $299, but the rest of this month, it's only $149. But again, guys, that's only if it works for you then and there. Guys, just book online at theguysclinic.com. Again, it's theguysclinic.com. Come on in, guys. Let's fix it for her. It's not hard. Guys, has a little blue pill let you down?
We're back. Hey, look,
again?
whether it's erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation, we are the local specialists ready for a complimentary consultation to bring your libido back to life. Diamonds are forever, but erectile dysfunction doesn't have to be. Check out our website at www.theguysclinic.com, the premier men's clinic around the country. Hey, listen, they're doing something really, really special there. Listen, they've got guys that haven't gotten erections in 10 years or getting in 2 or 3 minutes. So go check out the website, make your appointment, and go get yourself fixed. All righty. And we're back. Let's get back to the playoffs. Playoffs? 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 Yeah, the playoffs. The Suns versus the Pelicans. The Suns defeated the Pelicans 110-99. The Pelicans have no answers for CP3 and the Suns. With a late boost from Chris Paul and his old man's mid-range game, they beat the Pelicans 110-99 in Game 1. CP3 had 17 of the Suns' last 19 points. Chris Paul finished with 30 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. 19 points coming in the fourth quarter alone. Devin Booker finished with 25. He threw in 25. And the big man, DeAndre Ayton, added 21 points. He's coming up for a big payday next season, and he's really played his way into a big contract. I love the way he came out of college, and he has progressed beautifully. That coach in Phoenix is right now, to me, is the best coach in the NBA. I love the way he's brought him, and don't get it twisted. Don't for one instance think that CP3 isn't responsible for the progression of DeAndre Ayton. He's brought him along beautifully, and so you're getting 30 from Paul, 25 from Booker, another 21 from Ayton. That's another very well-rounded team. The Pelicans, a good-looking young team, just not ready for the Suns. The way they closed out the game was admirable. C.J. McCollum pumped in 25. Brandon Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas each had 18. Man, when you look around the league and you see all these young stars that the Lakers have let go to bring in Lebanon and the AARP All-Stars, it's just terrible, man. I'm looking at Brandon Ingram, KCP, the kid with the Bulls, man. It's just... I'm looking at Laker stars all across the league, and they're playing for everybody except the Lakers. But like I said, the Pelicans are a good young team, but they ain't got nothing for the Suns. The Suns are clicking. The Suns are clicking. This, a couple, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Pastor Brew was on the show, and he says, "Listen, I think we're going to see the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns and a rematch back in the NBA championship." And man, it could really, really end there, because the only team in the West that can stop the Suns is this Golden State Warriors, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But that's the crash course that everybody wants to see. Who comes out of the East? It's still a coin flip, but I think Milwaukee's at the top. And but the Suns, they're clicking, man. They're rolling. They are absolutely rolling. And, man, I just love the way Chris Paul sees the floor and sees everything. It's almost like the way Larry Bird used to see it, like he's seeing it in slow motion. He's seeing it happen before it happens. And man, he pulled out all the tricks in his bag last night, and he took over that game when it was on there. And that's what we were seeing in the playoffs. And that's why I love NBA this time of the year. Man, I can't take the NBA during the regular season because you just don't get this kind of effort, man. But what I've seen from the first round of the playoffs is that the stars are being the stars. The stars are doing what the stars are supposed to do. And they're showing up and they're showing out. And it's just been really, really exciting. So, like I said, the Suns defeat the Pelicans 110-99. You know, if the Pelicans get a game, I think they've done a good thing. But just like the Bucks, that's just like I think the Bucks are going to sweep the Bulls, I think the Suns are going to sweep the Pelicans as well. Let's get to the Raptors versus the 76ers. Now, during the regular season, the Sixers didn't find much success against the Raptors as they won just one of the 4 games they played. But that was the regular season. But playoff basketball, like I keep saying, is different basketball, man. These guys are keyed up. They're hyped. I mean, if you just watch the intensity that the Miami Heat came out with, man, they haven't been playing like that the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. But the intensity that they had the other day, it's different basketball. And like I mentioned, in the playoffs, your stars have to be stars. And the 76ers core guys showed up right out of the gate. Tyrese Maxey, getting his first playoff start, created a spark the Sixers needed, leading the team with scoring 10 of the team's first 35 points. The Sixers didn't take their foot off the gas in the second quarter, making 54% of their shots from the field. Maxey took charge and looked like a real NBA superstar with a game-high 38 points. Now, Harden, the Beard, chipped in with 22 and 14 assists, and they really, and Maxey really kind of allowed MVP candidate Joel Embiid to actually cruise in the first game and take it easy. Man, when you can give your big man a day off like that, that's spectacular. I mean, he just took over that game, and the Philly crowd got behind him, and they serenaded him, and it was rightfully so. You know, this is what Philly looked like when the Beard first joined the first week or two, when they looked almost unbeatable. I just can't see the Raptors. Well, let me just say, the Raptors had 4 or 5 starters in double figures, and they still lost. Okay, so look for Coach Nick Nurse to make some adjustments to try to steal one in Philly, because Nick Nurse is a very, very, very good NBA coach as well, and they got some really, really good veteran players on the Raptors. But long story short, I don't see them beating the Sixers. You know, especially if Maxey's going to play like that. That will allow the Sixers to challenge the Bucks and the Celtics and the Nets for the right to play for the East, for the NBA championship, if Maxey plays like that. Good job, Maxey. Now, let's get to this. The Timberwolves versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 7 ranked, Timberwolves versus the number 2 Grizzlies. The Timberwolves steal game 1 on the road. Okay, so let's get this out right here, because my man B was saying, he would take Anthony Edwards over Ja Morant. I'm asking you guys, what do you guys think? Who do you like? Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant? Now, I know you like both of them, like me. I like them both. But if you could only have one, Anthony Edwards or Ja Morant, who are you taking? Man, it's you know, when I watched the game, when we first said, I thought, oh man, that's crazy, because you know, Ja Morant is my favorite NBA player, so I'm a little bit biased there. But man, this Anthony Edwards looked like a bull in a china shop in this game, man. But not only that, he had gracefulness, and you know, he could be the bull in the china shop, but then he could be graceful and flamboyant and take you out deep and shoot the 3. I was really impressed with this young man's game. Look, the athleticism in this series is ridiculous. I mean, this is what you wait for the playoffs for. I mean, these guys are like taking off from the airport, man. They need a sky traffic control for this game. The aerial artistry is the new NBA, and this is a series we're going to see over and over again, because the Timberwolves are young and talented, and the Memphis Grizzlies are young and fiercely talented. Ja Morant scored 32 points, and it still wasn't enough for them to get the win. They need more out of Jaren Jackson, who's another good young player, but they got to get more out of JJ. Come on, Jaren, you got to show up. You can't leave Ja by himself. I mean, Memphis Grizzlies earned that number 2 seed. So how you going to be a number 2 seed? It's kind of like, if I can just take you back a little bit, the Nets and the Celtics is a 2 versus a 7. And I think it's one of the few times where a lot of people really feel confident that the 7 seed can beat the 2 seed. Well, in this series, I think this was a no-brainer that everybody's taking the Memphis Grizzlies, the number 2 seed, over the Timberwolves, number 7. But, man, the Timberwolves came to play, man. Listen, the Grizzlies led the NBA in 50-50 balls, but the T-Wolves out-hustled the Memphis Grizzlies on Saturday as they fell 130 to 117. The game was played at a frantic pace as 2 of the highest-scoring offenses went at it. Anthony Edwards poured in a game-high 36 points. And the Grizzlies led the NBA in rebounding and second chance points. But the T-Wolves beat them in both categories on Saturday. They out-hustled them. Now, the keys to winning this series is the T-Wolves' three-point shooting. The T-Wolves take more three-pointers than any team in the NBA. Consequently, they make more three-points than any team. And Memphis' lack of three-point shooting. I mean, look, it's really simple math. Check this out. The T-Wolves scored 48 points from the three-point line. The Grizzlies scored 21 points from the three-point line. Man, that's too big of a gap. That's too big of a... Okay, I get 3, you get 2. 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 You ain't never going to catch me. You ain't never going to catch me because you always losing ground. And that's a big mismatch, 48 points to 21 points. The Grizzlies were 7 for 27 shooting from the three-point line. Gonna have to do better, Grizzlies. Gonna have to do better. The T-Wolves are exploited. They're also exploiting Big Steven Adams. It's a mismatch against Karl Anthony Towns. And Edwards was going right at Adams every chance he got. I mean, they really have a young, talented team with Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards and a slew of guys. Patrick Beverly brings that toughness and grittiness that they need, that they kind of dominated on the 50-50 balls. So I think this should be a wake-up call for the Memphis Grizzlies because I've watched the Grizzlies most of the year, and they really haven't been a fluke. To finish second in the West, that's no fluke. They finished right behind the Phoenix Suns, who've been the best team all year long. So that's no fluke what they did. I got to believe that the Grizzlies bounce back and come back to win this series. But I've been really, really impressed with the T-Wolves. And B, I hear what you're saying about Anthony Edwards. I hear what you're saying. I kind of thought it was Michael Jackson off the wall at first. But after I watched him, you might be onto something, B. You might be onto something. All right. Now let's get to the Utah Jazz versus the Dallas Mavericks. The Utah Jazz survived 99-93. Luka should be back for Game 2, but the Jazz is the team to beat here. Luka keeps it. When Luka comes back, Luka keeps it close. But I got the Jazz winning this one anyway. The Mavericks have come just really, really overly dependent on Luka, and why not? He's one of the best young players in all the NBA. It's still a team game, still a team sport. And I think the Jazz play a better overall game, closer like what the Celtics do. I look for redemption for Rudy Gobert in this series. What I mean by that is, the last year when the Jazz got eliminated, Rudy, being the top defensive player in the NBA, caught a lot of flack. But what they did is they took that big center and they took him outside the arc and they spread it out and took him away from the rim. And the Jazz have been getting beat off the line, and they can't stay in front of their guys. And if you take your shot blocker away from the rim, then you're going to give up a lot of easy ones. And so Rudy kind of got some flack, but I look for Rudy to have redemption in this series. I do give Dallas credit. Because they knew they were going to be without Luka, and they only lost this game by 6 points. Their guys stepped up and they played well, but I think Utah has too much in the tank for the Mavericks. Let's go to the Denver Nuggets versus my Golden State Warriors. Yes, I did say my Golden State Warriors. Yes, this is my team. The Denver Nuggets 107, the Golden State Warriors 123. The Warriors are displaying the old and the new to the Denver Nuggets, from Steph Curry to Jordan Poole. The Warriors are bridging the gap and building something new and exciting as they continue on their crash course to meet up with the Phoenix Suns, because that's where it's going. Jordan Poole overshadowed the old guard as he dazzled his way to 30 points, tying the highest total of a first-time playoff performance, tying Mitch Richmond. That's taking you back, Mitch Richmond. Now, I'm not counting the stilt, Wilt Chamberlain, because his numbers are just freakish. But if you take Wilt out, no person has scored this many points in their first playoff game for the Golden State Warriors. He tied Mitch Richmond's record, both pointing in 30 points. Poole, along with Gary Payton II, Otto Porter Jr., Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody, joined the Warriors brand of small ball. And can the Warriors take their small ball, because they've lost one of their big men? So Draymond, as always, the Warriors are asking Draymond to be their Swiss Army knife and just do everything. And Draymond's done a good job on Djokovic, which is an MVP candidate. He's holding that big boy in check. And man, Draymond just does it all, man. He's a bigger, stronger version of Dennis Rodman. He's not as good a rebounder as Dennis Rodman, but that's kind of what Draymond's reminded me of, a bigger, stronger version of Dennis Rodman. So I think my Golden State Warriors are going to take this small ball all the way. And I love the Phoenix Suns, and the Warriors are my team. So when that matchup does happen, man, it's going to be a hard game for me to watch, because I really, really like both of those teams. But I think Golden State gets past the Nuggets. The Nuggets are like, Warriors. You don't want no part of them Warriors. Man. And Steph coming back, Steph's presence there makes a difference. And, of course, this Splash brother, he's back. He's working his way back into it. And, man, this Warriors could be a dangerous team, man. In the beginning of the year, I picked the Nets and the Warriors to be in the NBA championship. And that could still happen, okay? But that would be that'd be a good matchup as well. But what do you guys think out there? I like the Warriors in this one. Alrighty. Hey, moving on to some of the small ball. Listen, Jordan Spieth wins the 2022 Plaid Jacket. Jordan claims the 2022 RBC Heritage Classic in a playoff over Patrick Cantlay for his first win as a father. Okay, he just had a baby. Winners know how to win, and Spieth has proven that on tour many times. Spieth collects the tartan jacket. That's the red plaid jacket that they get. In the Masters you get the green jacket. The RBC you get the tartan jacket, which is the plaid jacket. And along with the tartan jacket, he gets a 7-figure check that pushed his career earnings to over $50 million. Over $50 million. Jordan Spieth is not even 28 or 29 yet. Has over $50 million in earnings. You guys know where this is coming. Get your kids out playing golf. Jordan shot a final round 66 5 under at Harbor Town Golf Links on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. And I thought it was interesting that Jordan mentioned that he got some really good advice this week from his wife. Jordan says his wife told him, you need to take 5 seconds before knocking in any tap-in putts. I think it was on Saturday. Saturday. Jordan Spieth missed a 2-foot putt. Then he missed a 1-foot putt. Then he missed an 18-inch putt on one hole. And he just raked them, And, man, there ain't nothing that makes a golfer more mad than that. And his wife told him, look, you need to take 5 seconds before you knock in any tap-in putts. And he said he thought of his wife. What did he say? He said he wanted to rake a couple. He said, but I thought what my wife said, and I just backed off. I took 5 seconds. I recomposed myself, and I made all my tap-ins. So congratulations to Jordan Spieth. He ran down Patrick Cantlay. My man Harold Warner III was in it for a minute, But listen, man, it's like I said, winners know how to win. Man, you have to learn how to win on the PGA Tour. They're just not going to let you. You just can't go show up and go for a walk in the park and win a PGA Tour event. Like I mentioned, Jordan shot 66 on Sunday. Well, you can't shoot 71 or 72 or 70 on Sunday and win on the PGA Tour. It just can't happen. That's what's happening to my man Tony Finau. That's what's starting to happen to Harold Warner. They're putting together good rounds on Thursday and Friday, and sometimes even on Saturday, but they're not showing up on Sunday. And you got to do more than go for a nice walk on Sunday. You got to put up a number. And 71, 72, that's good golf, but that doesn't get you to the winner's circle on the PGA Tour. So you guys, Tony Finau, Harold Warner III, you guys keep knocking, you'll get there. Hey, listen, Major League Baseball, we just got past Major League Baseball opening day. So this week in Major League Baseball, there is celebrating Jackie Robinson's Day around the major leagues. Baseball over the weekend, it's been 75 years since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. And it's still the most racist sport in America. What did you just say? What did you just say? Okay, let me repeat myself. It's been 75 years since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, and Major League Baseball is still the most racist sport in America. Major League Baseball is behind the times 75 years later. Can baseball say it's more inclusive than it was 20 years ago, with the number of black players and managers remaining woefully low? Nothing has really moved in a positive direction. Change was supposed to begin with Jackie Robinson, not begin and effectively end. There should be no shortage of people patting themselves on the back for the watershed moment, which helped usher in the civil rights movement and changed American society for the better. MLB has done nothing. They have done nothing to build on Jackie Robinson's great sacrifice. We got a caller on line one. Let's see what the caller has to say. Hey, caller, what's your name?
Howard Teal.
Hey, Howard, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Howard, what do you want to share with us today?
I was asking maybe call in and talk about the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball.
Let's talk about it, Howard. I'm a seam head, man. Let's talk about it. We can talk baseball all day long on the Time the Bomb show. Tell me what your Tell me what your thought, man. You know, like I said, it's 75 years breaking the color barrier, and I don't know if you just heard what I said. And let me ask you: can baseball say it's more inclusive than it was 20 years ago, with the number of black players and managers remaining woefully low? What's your take on that, Howard?
You know, I don't think it's as inclusive, especially in the managerial aspect of it. Of course, when you look at the players from the Caribbean and South America and things like that, they're certainly getting opportunities that they probably didn't have a lot of, or had very little prior to Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier. But I still think that the coaching situation is something that needs to be looked at, considering they got a lot of great bench coaches who are black, a lot of great third base coaches and first base coaches, and actually just a lot of guys who help, doing through the training during the season. Who could actually be considered to be coaches. So.
Dusty Baker.
And managers.
Dusty Baker is one of the few African American major league managers, and ESPN has been running a special all week on Jackie Robinson, and Dusty Baker was on, and he talked about how he's lost jobs for no reason at all as a manager. We all know what a retread is. That's where a guy gets fired and then he comes back and works somewhere else. That doesn't seem to happen to African Americans in all sports. Also, Dusty talked about how when he was coming up, that you never was going to have a black third base coach, because a third base coach was supposed to be one of the most knowledgeable players, coaches, and managers on the team. And of course, Dusty talked about how they felt like blacks weren't qualified to even be a third base coach, let alone the manager of your team. What's your thoughts on that, Howard?
I think that's very smart what he said, and the way he put it out there. But I think the mentality of thinking that way by owners, of the league executives is just is way their time has long been past. We all know that that's not true. You know, about they had, you know, a certain knowledge and intelligence to be a third base coach. Well, a lot of these guys played the game. That requires some intelligence right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, antiquated thinking, and I like the fact that Dusty Baker has spoken up about it. You know, I'm proud of him for what he's been doing, you know, in the major leagues, you know, as a manager. I was proud of Frank Robinson as a manager. I was so happy to see him, you know, get there and do it. So, you know, and I'm proud of Dave Roberts, and I would like to see more of him.
Yeah, but
I would really like to see more.
Howard is 75 years, and we still only have two.
I know.
Just two. That's absolutely ridiculous.
But when you think about it, I think, and I don't want to get off subject. When you think about a lot of things, first of all, Jackie Robinson really wasn't the best player in the Negro League, and a lot of people know.
Correct. Absolutely. Correct. You're absolutely
correct. He was the one
correct.
who they felt could handle the pressure of being the first black in the major league. You know, because of course he was, you know, educated. He went to UCLA and spent some time in the service. So, you know, he was the one that they felt could do it. But there were a lot of guys who were more qualified as players. You know, one of them, right on top of my head, is Josh Gibson. But, you know, of course, they found out later on he had some medical issues that they actually thought, you know, was causing him to have seizures and stuff, which actually was true. But, of course, he was a great baseball player. But I just think that the mentality of thinking that blacks still don't have the capacity to be managers and third base coaches and things like that it's just bad thinking. It's just bad.
Well, you know, we all understand systematic racism. I think we all do.
Oh yeah.
But it's so deeply embedded in Major League Baseball. You know, remember there used to be a commercial back in the day where they talked about apple pie baseball, Chevrolet. You know, these things are all American. You know, and baseball really has been American. You know, but the systematic racism is so deep. And you know, you think it's 2022, and let me tell you where it's going now. It's 2022, but it's still going on in 2022. And what I mean by that is it's so deeply embedded. Okay, it's embedded. Like, and here's what I mean. Today in baseball, I grew up playing Jackie Robinson Core League baseball in East St. Louis. It was one of the best times of my life growing up playing Little League baseball. I come from a family where, you know, I have a lot of brothers and sisters, so we didn't have a whole lot of money. But today, in 2022, to play on these Little League teams, it costs families up to $2,500 to $3,000 for your child to be able to play Little League and travel baseball. Now, if that was going on when I was coming up, I would have never been able to play baseball because there's no way that my folks could afford that.
I agree with that.
And so what is happening? It's become a form of redlining. Okay, and let me just explain redlining. I used to live in Silver Spring. I moved from Silver Spring to Bethesda, and all I did was move from Silver Spring to Bethesda. And my insurance went down $800 a year. And my credit rating went up almost 100 points. And all I did was move. I didn't pay my bills more or less. I just moved. That's what redlining is when you get to a different area, you get benefit. And that's what's happening in baseball right now. Hey, look, Howard, I got another caller. Thank you for calling, man. Call me back again, okay?
It was great. It was great talking to you.
All right, thanks.
Get a chance. I'm from St. Louis. Go to the Negro League Museum in Kansas City.
Absolutely. That's on my to-do list. All right.
Okay. All right.
Hello, caller. You on the air?
PGR.
Hello.
From the bomb.
Hello, caller. You're on the air. What's your name?
My name is Todd Willis. How are you?
Hey, Todd. How you doing? What do you want to talk with us about today, Todd?
Well, I guess about the anniversary for Jackie Robinson Day, the 75th anniversary that took place on Friday.
Absolutely. Go with it, Todd. What's your thoughts?
So I I live here in the Baltimore area in Laurel, just outside of Baltimore. And me and my family were big baseball fans. So took my family, wife, and 2 kids, and we went down to Camden Yards to see the O's take on the Yankees.
Wait a minute, Todd. Baltimore has a baseball team?
They have a baseball team.
Baltimore. Okay, yeah, Baltimore has. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Todd.
and they happened to win this series against the Yankees.
Yeah, that was a good game yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's great stuff.
So, what changes have you seen since the 75 years as far as inclusivity in Major League Baseball? What's your thoughts on that?
Wow. I mean, and there's a lot to go on. And, it's interesting because baseball was my first love growing up as an African American. And so, it was taken for granted that we could, esteem to play in Major League Baseball. But that was not the issue for people of my dad's time, anyone his age. It just was not allowed, and of course that's the injustice. And to see, really the sacrifice that Jackie Robinson underwent. I mean, the name calling, the ridiculing, being, slid with spikes up, cutting into your leg from other Major League players. All that he endured, and he maintained his dignity just to give the generation after him that chance to play in Major League Baseball. It was just an awesome thing.
Todd, he sadly passed away at the age of 53, but didn't he look like he was 88 when he passed? I mean,
yeah,
53 is not old, And
it really is, and it speaks to just, I think, everything that they have to endure. They made it so much easier for us and the generation that came after them. And they knew what they were doing when they were taking on this incredible duty that they did.
Todd, we were just talking about the systematic racism that's in baseball and just in America in general. And, it's like today, you can't say you can't live here because that's illegal, okay?
Right.
But if I make all the homes start at $2 million, I don't have to say you can't live here. I just price you out of that neighborhood. And that's what's going on in the grassroots programs in baseball now. I mean, one of the local high schools is charging $2,500 for your child to be able to play high school baseball. So if I make the team, now my family has to pay $2,500 for me to play high school baseball. So I'm a great player, but I come from a family of 13, and we can't afford to pay $2,500 for me to play baseball. So what happens? That weeds me out of baseball, the game that you and I love, Todd. So what happened? Our young people play basketball because that don't cost a lot of money, and we play football. So now we don't even play baseball anymore like you and I grew up doing. And so now they go to Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and to Cuba, and then they recruit the foreign players from there, but they aren't recruiting black Americans to play baseball.
It is a shame, and you are 100% right, and it's something I talk about with my son and family all the time, and I'm thankful he's 13 and he does play baseball. But, we're blessed in that way. But like you said, not everyone is. And it is kind of it's a high cost.
Yeah, Todd, are you shocked by the cost it is for your 13-year-old to be able to play on teams?
I'm sorry, repeat the question?
I said, are you shocked by the cost it is for your 13-year-old to be on Little League teams?
Yes.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And on the same team, he's on the travel team, and there are other family members who have, they're having a hard time keeping up with the cost. It can be like $1,000, just to play on the team, and that doesn't, account for the cost to travel and to go to other tournaments. It is shocking, yes.
And this is what people don't understand. This is why that the African American in baseball is under 2% in the major leagues. It's just a game that they have systematically taken away from us by redlining and literally pricing us out of the game that we grew up loving. and it's
That's
absolutely
right.
amazing. And I think people are shocked to find that out, huh?
Yeah, because I mean, growing up, there were black kids would be playing stickball, in urban neighborhoods, where you split the rubber ball in half and you're playing with a stick. And, that even shows economic disparity there.
Exactly.
But there were more of us playing then, and that has dwindled. And like you said, we've seen the Latin American players kind of, step up. Mm-hmm. And they're playing in larger numbers than the blacks here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. So the Major League they've done programs, what they call the RBI program, where they're encouraging baseball in minority neighborhoods, and then they have some other programs. But to me, they really seem like it's just dressing. That there's no real substance behind it, because that's where the game is being taken away. If our children, your son's 13, he's playing, I love baseball. My son's 27, he never played ball. That's because he didn't want to, not because he could afford it, but there was just no interest for that, but they've taken the grassroots game away from them, where our children aren't playing Little League on up through the system. So how do they become major leaguers if they haven't played? And that's how you systematically take baseball away from a single race.
That is exactly right. And the window dressing, like you said, the initiatives are not going to do it. It has to be an intentional effort, and we have to make the sport, more economically accessible to our black boys and girls who want to play.
Because it's such a great game. It's such a great game. It's absolutely my favorite sport. It's not even close.
I love baseball. It's sort of like that friend that's with you every day. Mm-hmm. It comes on almost every day. There's a baseball game during baseball season. You can have it on the radio. You can be washing the car with your children. Doing whatever. Going to a game like we did, if you're able to do that, or watching it on television. It absolutely is. It's a great sport. Definitely my first love, and I still love it to this day.
And it's being robbed from a whole generation of African Americans. The demographics for people that watch baseball are over the age of 50. So think about that. Right. Your game's in trouble if the people that are watching your game is above the age of 50. And that's what's happening to baseball now. And it's just a shame. I just thought I wanted to bring a little light. Hey, Todd, I appreciate you giving me a call. Do me a favor and call me back again. We chat some more, my friend.
Oh, absolutely. I would love to, my brother. And you have a great rest of the show and day.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it. So, that's what's going on with the celebration of Jackie Robinson. We just kind of got a little bit in it. We're just about running out of time here, but we could probably spend a whole show on this. Just to give you a little bit of background information, on ESPN had a special where it was a panel of about 6 Major League Baseball players. McCutchen for the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was a couple of pitchers. Mark Stroman. It was about a kid from the Pirates. It was about 6 African American Major League Baseball players, and they all talked about how difficult it was for them to make it from the financial standpoint. And Andrew McCutchen, who's a Major League Baseball MVP, he talked about how his whole town had to raise money for him to be able to go to these showcase games, and that if his town hadn't chipped in and put the money together for him to be able to go to these showcase games, that he would have never got seen, and he would have never gotten drafted, and he'd have never been a Major League Baseball player. So you can have guys with extreme talent like that, and they just aren't getting the chance and the opportunity. Darryl Strawberry, there's a show on Netflix with Darryl Strawberry and Eric Davis. Of course, Eric Davis of the Reds, and at the time, Darryl Strawberry was with the New York Mets. And both of these guys signed $1 million contracts to sign into the pros, and they talked about how bad they were treated and how rough they were treated, and they were what you call $1 million signing bonuses. And one of the things that they say in the show on 30 for 30, it's really good, is that if it was this hard, because see, if a baseball team invests $1 million in you, they're interested in you, and their interest is that you would be successful. But what both Darryl Strawberry and Eric Davis talked about was the people that they ran into in the lower minor league systems that tried to derail them and stop them from making it to the major leagues. So one of the things that both of them, this is what the 30 for 30 special that they have is about, is they decided that they were going to, while they were still major league players, and I think they still run the camp now, while they were still major league players, they decided to come together and in the off season, they would have all minority players come to California where they were both from, and their high school coach ran the camp with them, but it was for major league players. So they, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, African American, if you were a minority, they invited you to this camp, and they basically taught you what it is to be a professional. Hit the cutoff man, do this, hit behind the runner. If the runner's on second base and it's less than one out, you got to hit the ball to the right side of the field. They taught them all of these type of fundamentals. Hit the cutoff man. I don't care how strong your arm is, hit the cutoff man. And they took the time to work with these guys, and I don't know if they're still doing it now, but it's really, really a good special. And like I said, it's on Netflix with Darryl Strawberry and Eric Davis on the 30 for 30. So it's really, really good. So if you get a chance to check that out. Hey, look, we covered our poll question. We didn't have trivia today. We're just about out of time here. Look, hey, for a dynamic, in-depth analysis and highlights for the Washington football team and DC sports and more, check out the Washington Sports Den on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on WBGR with Felix Bassey. Man, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending time with us. Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you where there won't be room enough to contain it. Remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the third day, not a Thursday, on the third day, just for you. Yes, he has risen. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. God bless you. We'll see you on this same bat time, on this same bat station. You guys have a good evening. I hope the weather gets better for you. I'm definitely hoping it gets better here. Good night.
Love is all that I can give to you. Love is more than just a game for two. Two in love can make it. Take my heart and please don't break it. Love was made for me.